What's up everyone, Starizard here coming at you with another review. In today's review, we're going to be exploring the deep dark depths of Lulu's temple. But before we explore it and find the end, we have to review it. So let's jump right in. In Lulu's temple, you play as an archaeologist who stumbles into a cursed temple and, shocker, has to find his way out. You're armed with just a pistol and a torch, and right away you team up with a little scarab beetle that follows you around and actually ends up being pretty useful. The story is told in tiny bits of cryptic dialogue as you move through the game. You're never really sure who's talking or what's going on, but that actually works in the game's favor. It adds to the whole mysterious cursed temple vibe. Honestly, that's all the setup this game needs. The gameplay is where Lulu's temple gets interesting. The whole game is played in darkness. You can only see what's lit up by your torch and occasionally the flash from your pistol when you shoot, as well as the torches you light along the way. That alone gives the game a really unique feel, especially when you're solving puzzles or trying to avoid traps you literally can't see until you're right on top of them. You've got 3 hearts, and your basic tools are pretty simple. Shoot, jump, and throw your torch. But here's the cool part. If you chuck your torch and it lands somewhere inconvenient, your scarab buddy can actually go fetch it just with the simple press of the shoulder button. Save points are generous. Big torches scattered around the levels act as checkpoints, and most new rooms give you a fresh respawn spot. So even when you do die, and you will, you're not punished too harshly. You'll also find upgrades and chests throughout the game, but they don't really matter. You can go through the whole game without using them, and they have zero impact on the final boss. It kind of feels like they were added just to give you something extra to collect, but they don't change how you play at all. There are 9 levels in total, and overall the design is pretty solid. Each level introduces a few new tricks or hazards, and the pacing moves along in a decent clip. It's definitely got puzzle platform energy, even though it's labeled more as a action horror platformer. Most of the puzzles involve using your torch to trigger I guess we'll call it a switch, and it will reveal invisible blocks you can then walk on. They're not too hard to figure out, but throwing the torch with the right angle and timing can be kind of a pain. I had to retry a few throws more than just a few times to land them right. Visually, Lulu's temple is actually really nice looking. Everything in the temple really fits the temple aesthetic. Like, it looks exactly like what you'd expect. The characters and enemies have this flat Paper Mario style look that somehow works great in a horror light setting. And here's something I did not expect going into this game. The game is weirdly gory. When you shoot enemies, blood splatters everywhere. It drips from platforms and walls, and if you leave a room and come back, it's still dripping. It feels almost out of place, but at the same time it adds this unsettling vibe that really sticks with you. The soundtrack mostly leans into ambient noise. Think low drums, dusty wind, ancient vibes. It fits the setting perfectly, even if it's not something you remember after you're done playing. But the boss fight theme is kind of a banger. Overall, I'd say the soundtrack is solid. It's not going to blow you away, but it does fit the game really well, and it definitely sucks you in. The controls are pretty sharp as well. You can move, jump, shoot while running, or hold down the shoulder button to lock in place and aim in any direction. Everything feels responsive, and more importantly, I never felt like I died because the controls screwed me over. That's a huge win in these indie platformers. Now let's quickly talk about the final boss. At the end of the last level, you'll face a pretty crazy looking final boss. Visually, it's a standout moment. It's big, creepy, and definitely breaks up the quiet, claustrophobic feel the rest of the game builds up. But gameplay-wise, it is a bit of a letdown. You don't use any of the mechanics you learn throughout the game. Everything you found in the chest, you don't use any of it. No torch tricks, no puzzle solving, just blast away until it dies. It is still satisfying to beat, don't get me wrong, but it just feels disconnected from everything that came before it. My first run in this game took me a little over an hour. The second time I cruised through this game, it took about 30 minutes. So it's a pretty short game, but it is also very unique, and I do respect that. That said, I do think Lulu's temple leaves a lot on the table. It introduces some really cool mechanics, but never really fully leans into them. The upgrades don't do anything, and the final boss just feels really disconnected from the rest of the experience. Still, if you like short, weird, atmospheric games that do something a little different, Lulu's temple could be worth checking out. It's not amazing, but it is definitely memorable. That wraps up today's review of Lulu's temple. This game is super unique and has a lot of fun elements to it, but I think it falls just short of being a hidden gem, but I still think it's worth checking out. Also, thank you so much for checking out this review. If you found it helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more weekly indie reviews. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Starizard, out.